Hello everyone, welcome to another session on smart contracts. In this session, we'll be covering events and logging in Solidity. So let's dive right in. This video explores how events and logging are used in Solidity to facilitate communication between smart contracts and their external interfaces, as well as monitor and debug contract behavior. Key topics. In this session, we'll be covering introduction to events, defining and emitting events, and listening to events. Events and Solidity are a powerful tool for communicating between smart contracts and external applications. They allow you to notify the outside world about important occurrences within your contract. Logging in Solidity is crucial for debugging, monitoring, and analyzing the behavior of your smart contracts. Events provide a standardized way to log relevant information. In this presentation, you will explore the fundamentals of events and logging in Solidity, including how to define, emit, and listen for events, as well as their best practices for effective implementation. Introduction to events. So, what exactly are events? You must be thinking. Events are a way for smart contracts to communicate with the outside world by logging certain actions that can be listed by external applications, as blockchains can't interact with the external world on their own. Think of events like a public announcement system that broadcasts information to everyone who is listening. To use events, you must first define them within your smart contract, specifying the data that will be logged when the event is emitted. Defining and emitting events. Events are like a notification system in Solidity. You define what information you want to track by declaring an event with specific parameters. When something happens that you want to track, you can emit the event from within your contract function, sending out the notification with the relevant data. Events can include any data type, allowing you to capture information about the state changes in your contract. Listening to events, that is how we can track events and the information they're sending. Just like a radio tuned into specific stations, external applications can listen for and process events emitted by smart contracts using libraries like web3.js, ether.js, and many more. By subscribing to event logs, DApps can capture important updates from the blockchain and respond accordingly, such as triggering new transactions or updating user interfaces. Event listeners allow DApps to monitor the blockchain in real time, enabling them to react quickly to changes and provide users with the most up to date information. Just like a user subscribing to receive notifications from an app, your Solidity smart contract can listen to, for, and respond to specific events. When an event is emitted, you can capture the associated data and analyze it to take appropriate actions. For example, you can emit an event that specifies when the smart contract changes a state for a particular variable. This event driven architecture allows your contract to react dynamically to change its state. Use cases for events. Events can be used to record important state changes in your smart contract, such as when a transaction is executed or a new user is added. Events can be listened for off-chain, allowing you to trigger actions like sending notifications or updating external systems based on what happens in your contract. Events can be used to inform users of important occurrences like when a new product is listed or a transaction is completed, similar to how new outlets report on current events. Suppose a transaction has been successful, then you may emit an event saying that the transaction has been successful to the address you have specified in the event. Use cases for events. Tracking transactions, application notifications, and decentralized logging. Events and Solidity allow developers to create a two-way communication channel between the blockchain and external applications. This can be leveraged for a variety of use cases such as tracking important transactions, triggering notifications for users, and maintaining a decentralized audit log of system events. Logging in Solidity can be compared to keeping a detailed diary of a contract's activities. This record can be reviewed to understand what happened during the contract's execution. So, for example, there are three functions, and each function you log that this function has been executed. So, whenever the three functions have been completed, you get three logs in the range that the function 1, 2, and 3 have been executed. When using events and logging in Solidity, it's best practice to ensure effective monitoring and debugging of your smart contract. Simplifying for layman terms, events in Solidity are like a public announcement system, broadcasting important information for anyone to hear. Setting up a notification system, specifying what kind of information will be shared. Emitting events is like sending out a notification, triggering the broadcast of the defined information. Listening to events is akin to tuning into a radio broadcast and receiving the announcements you are interested in. Moving on to the part that is login. Events in Solidity act as a logging system, recording information that can be accessed later by the contract or external applications. Logging events is crucial for debugging smart contracts, allowing developers to track state changes and identify issues during execution. The event log data can be used for analytics, providing insights into how the contract is being used over time. So here are some best practices used for events and logging. Be selective. Don't log every single action. Be strategic and only emit events for the most crucial information. This keeps your logs concise and easy to parse, because this will remove all the mumbo jumbo information that you may have logged and only keeps track of the important information that actually matters and will help you debug your smart contract. Designed for readability. Use clear descriptive event names and parameter names to make your logs self-documenting. This helps other developers understand what's happening. Regularly review your events logs to catch errors, detect suspicious activity, and gain insights into how your contract is being used. Use index parameters and keep events concise. Mark relevant events parameters as index to make it easier to filter and search for specific events. Make your event names and parameter descriptions clear and descriptive so it's easy for others to understand what's being logged. There are three major steps for events and logging: setup, emit events, and log transactions. Let's walk through a simple Solidity contract that demonstrates the practical use of events and logging. We'll start by setting up event definitions and show how to emit them during contract interactions. Finally, we'll be adding logging to track the contract's activities. Now I'll be practically demonstrating you how we can do all the things that we have gone through in this particular session. So we'll start by specifying the license identifier, that is MIT, and now we'll write the version of Solidity compiler that we'll be using. So we'll write pragma solidity and the version, which is 0.8.0. So we'll use the contract keyword to specify that we are writing a contract. We'll name it my contract. Now we'll create a function which will take a string type variable as an input, that is a message which the user will send to the function, and will store it somewhere, and also log an event and also emit an event whenever this function gets executed. So we'll name it store message function string memory message. This will be a public function, won't return anything. And now we'll be storing this message in a variable named last message, so we'll have to first define it. So we'll write string last message. We'll write last message equals the message sent by the user as input. Now we'll also emit our event, that is we'll name it my event, and it will be containing two pieces of information, that is the address of the sender, which will be message.sender, where message is a global variable, and also the message sent by the user. And now we'll have to define our event. So we'll write event. The name of the event will be my event. This will have two pieces of information, that is address, index will be the keyword, and user address, or we can name it sender address, whichever you want, and also a string user message. Okay, now we'll change the compiler version so that there aren't no compatibility issues with the compiler. So let's change it here only, won't matter much. So since message is also a global variable, we'll have to change the name of the variable here. We'll write this will be okay. So this will work perfectly. Now let's check this function out. We have compiled our contract. Now let's try and deploy it. So we'll be deploying it on Remix Virtual Machine Berlin using this address. Let's click on deploy. Our contract has been deployed. So we'll write the function, hey, how are you doing? So let's store the message. Cool. And now we'll check that consoles for any logs or events. So you see, my event has been logged and the message is also there, hey, how are you doing? So with this we conclude our session on events and logs. Thank you for joining in. Have a great day.